Hello and welcome back to the Touchline. We haven't been here in a minute, but that just means that we have been catching up on all the footballing action that is the Euro 2020s, as well as Copa America, DStv Premiership playoffs, as well as the CAF Confederations. My name is Oarabiledi Popo, your host for the Touchline tonight, and I am with Mr. Vince __92. How are you doing tonight?
I love how you said __ because clearly I'm not the only Vince that was born in 1992. Vile, so happy to be here. So happy to see you. I feel like it's been too long.
It has.
Last time I saw you, didn't even have those blue lips, but now here you are. You're back. I love it.
I am back, man. Like I said, we've been so busy watching the Euros. And just to talk about the games that just finished off right now, Spain getting that all-important victory, 5-0. They finally have a victory at the Euros, making sure that they go through to the next round of 16, as well as Sweden beating Poland, meaning that Sweden have now also qualified for the round of 16. That was a 3-2 victory for Sweden, as well as a 5-0 for Spain. Man, oh man, Spain have been such a disappointment in this tournament. Or am I the only one that thinks so, Vince?
Up until today's game, because if Spain went through on 3 draws, I would not have been happy. But I genuinely think this Euro is now a resurgence of the Giants, and you know how we had our favorites. We had, and it's not even me trying to jump the gun. In fact, let me leave those jumping of the guns for the later. But I feel that we essentially have those juggernauts coming back now. What we've been so impressed with Italy. We've awoken Spain now, and I feel like Spain have their groove back. And the guys that were being integrated into the Spain system, you know what I mean? The Laporte's coming in now, and it's not even for a matter of any of these goals were howlers. We had some quality goals, for Ferran Torres to come in and give me a cheeky little finish like that. Come on!
You see, it's the confidence building that we were talking about. Like you said, it had to progress from the very first game. And we've seen teams actually win tournaments with just 3 points. The likes of Portugal. We all know that they, in their group stages, only had draws, and they ended up ultimately winning the Euros. But speaking of those dark horses that you're talking about, Italy have not lost a game in almost a year and a half. And also they topped the group with the perfect record. Can you actually see them going all the way?
I'm looking at the Azzurri, and I'm looking at them, and you're telling me they have not lost, or they haven't conceded a game. They haven't conceded a goal in 12 games.
The goal.
And for 12 games straight, they've gone and won those games. And now, look, I think this is different from the side of 2006 with Fabio Cannavaro being the leader at the back. It's essentially now a team that is just a full system, And of course, like, we know their manager. Their manager knows how to win. Roberto Mancini is not akin to
football. Yes.
If a guy like that gave Manchester City, their first league title in forever. We know he knows how to win, And there's just a certain swagger about
Italy right now.
Yeah, it's the coach with his suit jacket over the shoulder. It's the way
during press conferences.
Yeah, oh man, it's 2 delicious goals from outside the box by the delicious young prospect. It's just like I feel that they've got everything. Their defense is regimented. They've got amazing flair and an amazing look for a pass in the middle of the park. And you've got great finishes at the end and guys that will go and finish it off at the end. So Italy is for me, they've gone from someone who I expect very little of to someone who I'm taking very seriously in this era. Yeah.
Very true. And then looking at some of the other games that have already been played, we know that a lot of teams have gone through, the likes of favorites Belgium, likes of favorites France, and all of them. Looking at some of the other teams, who have you been a little bit more disappointed in? And I know I'm looking at England, I really don't understand, but it's so weird to actually say that they've actually topped their group, and Sterling has been their only goal scorer.
Guys, I feel like every single, and maybe it's also because of the beauty of the Premier League and because we know that league the most. But I feel like every single time before every international tournament, our expectations of England are so high, And I don't know, I almost feel like we're living in a situation where you have all this English talent, and then
Yes.
we are giving it up to a guy who drew 2 games to some minnow clubs in 2016 at the Euro, or 2016 at the World Cup, um, and won 1 game against the minnow side in the group stage and took him to the last
Yes.
16. And we put all our faith in Gareth Southgate, a guy who put Middlesbrough at 13th, 14th relegation, and that's the guy that you want in one of the
Biggest coaching
jobs.
team.
Yeah,
Yes.
coaching jobs. So for me, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make for me. Gareth Southgate's never ever made sense. I've always felt like he was always managing, higher than his potential or what he was actually worth. But he gave the English fans a little bit of hope, so it's fine. But genuinely, for me, I definitely have been very, very disappointed in England. I watched that first game, and I just thought that Phil Foden was sensational. That very first game,
Yeah.
it looked like everything was electric every single time he was touching the ball. But then, how are you? But then, I mean, we're looking at a right wing spot that is also very dangerous territory right now. If you're telling me that Phil Foden is one of the best players in that English squad, but now a guy who is playing his first international debut goes and wins man of the match from the position he was playing in Bukayo Saka,
That was playing
who
in.
was absolutely sensational last night, by the way.
He was magical. Him and Grealish absolutely controlled those flanks. It was beautiful to watch.
And I think that's confused me with England, is that like sometimes I feel like their lineup should be predictable, but they go and complicate. How is Jack Grealish, when the English public is crying out for this guy? You know he is someone that can go and drag your team to a result. He doesn't start a game, but then the game that he does start, boom, assist to who? Raheem Sterling.
He gets the assist.
Yeah. So Grealish has been amazing. We know why Sterling's there. Sterling is essentially the most experienced frontman that they have over there. But then you wonder, Harry Kane, like yesterday,
he hasn't kicked in yet.
No, he hasn't done anything. And I feel like this was Harry Kane, the last international tournament as well, because he was also blanking there as well. So we know Harry Kane can go and do it in terms of games leading up to the tournaments. But can he do it in the actual tournament where he knows he's the marksman? He is supposed to be the captain. He's supposed to be the leader, putting the team on his shoulders. And you're chopping back onto your right foot, and goals that you are scoring for Tottenham Hotspur, you are not scoring, just like
not there.
Yeah.
Not there.
As you're saying?
I actually wanted to bring in the conversation where Jadon Sancho only had his first 10 minutes of the tournament just yesterday. Why do you think that is? I mean, he's had a phenomenal season in Germany with Dortmund, and him and Birmingham have been a solid pair. Why is it only that Jadon Sancho only tasted Euros for about 10 minutes just yesterday?
Because when you also I feel like you also need to ride your wave when you have it. So
when you have
Jadon, so I would go and say you say Jadon had a good season at Dortmund. He didn't have a great season. He had probably an average season based on the season he had the previous year.
Before.
The previous year, he had an amazing season when obviously United went in for 120 or so to go and bring him to obviously Old Trafford. But I do feel like there is, shall I say, there is a surplus of talent in terms of left and right wings in England right now. There's an incredible amount of talent over there. So much so that you're asking guys that even essentially play midfield, the Fodens of the world, the Grealishes of the world.
Listen,
it's actually too full here. We're going to need you to play a little bit more advanced, We know what Sancho's quality is, okay? But I feel that sometimes the pressure of the job also gets to Southgate. I feel that sometimes he doesn't make calls for the better of the team. He makes calls to go and appease the English public, so to say. Typical examples. We knew the stories about the story about Trent Alexander-Arnold. We knew he wasn't gonna, particularly feature too much at this World Cup. But there he
still chose him. Yeah,
2-3 weeks before squads announced, he's telling him that listen, you will be included because English public would have been in a roar. It would have been an uproar. So for me, Sancho is amazing,
Yeah.
and he's playing in Champions League, There is no way that, and granted, he did give a hell of a performance yesterday, but there's
Mm.
no ways that, I should be seeing Saka in the starting lineup ahead of Sancho, even though I feel Saka is
And
bringing
Rashford. Yeah.
it, and Rashford ahead of
Mm.
it doesn't make sense to me. So Sancho needs to be at starting lineup, and we know what he's capable of. But to go and start experimenting now in the round of 16 is also very dangerous.
It's
So
very dangerous. And that's
it
kind of what I
is.
was leading up to, because if you're playing Jadon Sancho in the last 10 minutes of, your last group stage, that surely says to me that you're probably going to maybe even start him in the round of 16, because that's exactly what he needs to be doing now. You cannot be going into the round of 16 with just 2 goals and defending most of the game.
Yeah, look at it. They always say you play your strongest lineups, your safest lineups in game one and game two of the
Hmm.
group stage, and then game
To
and then
secure. Yes.
yeah, the third one, if you already been through. I mean, we're talking about like the Germans, the Englands of the world, the France of the world. They say in literally the last group game when qualification has already been sealed, that's when you need to
Mm.
go and bring in the players that you think can go and give you a different element. And that's
Mm.
essentially the decision maker for you. And I feel like England got very few answers yesterday, except for one answer, and that's Saka has to be at your right wing. But that
Yes, and
creates
he has to start.
he has to start. But that now
Yeah.
that creates another headache now for Southgate, because
Mm.
that means I've got to go and push Phil Foden into midfield. I need to get him
Mm.
less advanced. And who am I going to play on that left flank now? Because now I've got to go and think about Sancho. Sancho, who's actually very much a left winger.
Yes, going into the right. Yes.
But now you've got a guy who, at 23, 24 years old, has scored and been in so many England appearances in Marcus Rashford.
Mm.
And where do you leave the most experienced player in that front line in Raheem Sterling,
Yeah.
who scored you the two most important goals, or the first
Goals.
two goals that England have scored in two successive games?
Exactly.
So don't want to be Southgate.
Exactly.
What I will tell you though is that Southgate is sacked at the end of this Euro. That's what I'll tell you.
You are bold, but England are through to the round of 16. I look forward to seeing who they will be playing next with regards to that. But also, let's look at some of the other fantastic things that have happened. We have been spoiled with amazing goals in this Euro so far. I think Patrick Schick's goal will undoubtedly probably goal of the tournament, but there's so many others to speak of, and just the likes of Luka Modric's goal yesterday was just phenomenal to watch.
But Luka Modric does what Luka Modric does.
That
For me, there is beauty in hitting a ball outside of your foot, and I can just see the bend.
matched.
There was just absolute beauty in that. We've also been treated to some like amazing goals as well from Belgium. Kevin De Bruyne did give us
Baku.
a left-footed curler. For me, it's impressive you beat me on your wrong foot, which is your left
Yes.
foot, because let's act like Kevin De Bruyne actually has a weak foot. But then not just to go and beat me on your weak foot, you go and put it at the near post. Come
At the near
on.
post, even, which the
Near
one post you
post.
should be protecting. Imagine.
Please. And look, we're not going to take away any goals from Italy. That
Mm.
beautiful maestro that they have in the middle of the park. Those two goals. Oh, stop it! Stop it! Stop it! Stop it!
Stunning.
Yeah.
So
So
stunning.
we'll buy those DVDs at the bus rank. We're just looking forward to those at the Euro 2021 compilation. So yeah, I'm excited. I think for me, I feel like the Euros in a sense the group stage is just more as like a business end kind of things, because
Yeah.
we normally know which teams are gonna go through, except if you have a group of death like
Like
Germany.
the Portugals and Germany. Yes, that is still to come later tonight.
That's
Yeah.
still to come. Yeah, so I still think we're gonna see magic.
Mm.
I mean, we saw magic tonight, with España, with España. So tomorrow is
Mm.
going to be some telling fixes. I very much look forward to Portugal and France, because I know my goat always raises his game when his backs
Yeah.
against the wall. So it would be very embarrassing if Portugal went home when they came into the tournament saying we know how to win this tournament. So
Yes,
Yeah.
that's so true. Looking actually at this picture, I just
Mm,
remembered at the fact that Jose Mourinho just yesterday was coming out and saying that Portugal are constantly playing with 10 men because apparently Bruno Fernandes has forgot to pitch for the Euros. Apparently he seems to be the dead weight in that team. Do you think so? And obviously looking at the fact that Cristiano Ronaldo is the top goal scorer in this tournament, as well as the likes of Patrick Schick and Romelu Lukaku with 3 goals. Do you think that Bruno Fernandes hasn't been contributing in any way to Portugal's, style of play?
I personally think, and I said this as well, when we're discussing the Premier League, is I feel like Bruno Fernandes gets away with a lot at United
Yes.
because the recovery of United is so good.
Mm-hmm.
They have workhorses in the middle of the park, the McTominays of the world, the Freds of the
Yeah.
world. And
The
essentially,
phrase
when
of the
they're
world.
doing
Yeah.
exactly because Bruno obviously plays at 10 for United. So essentially,
Mm,
anyone behind him would essentially be everyone but the striker because you're expecting
mm.
your wingers to go and pull back and
Be
defend.
forward.
You're
Yes.
expecting your pivots behind you, McTominay and Fred, to be behind you. You expect your back four to be
Mm,
behind you. So you must actually go and our viewers must actually go and have a look at the stats in terms of how many times Bruno Fernandes actually loses possession in the final third because all he goes for is those killer
it's those
passes.
goals.
Those killer,
Yeah.
and I just personally think there's nothing. No one can tell me Bruno Fernandes knows how to control the tempo of a game, or knows how to go and pick the right pass at the right
Mm,
moment. No, no. If you're attempting
mm,
that pass 100 times, of course it's gonna go and pan out. Those times, and everyone's gonna go and assume the most amazing assist. But
yeah.
I'm saying now, we have a Portugal team that's asking you to go and do the hard work as well in the middle of the park.
To do the
And
grind. Yes. That dirty, nasty work.
exactly, you're
Mm,
playing against France, you're playing against Germany, based on their players alone and the pedigree of those players. You fully expect to not have the ball. So when you do have the
mm.
ball, I don't need you attempting, a through ball that maybe has a 10%, 20% chance of completion.
Chance of
I
making it.
need you
Yeah.
to also play it safe. So I feel
Mm,
like he can be a little bit of a liability, in terms of that aspect for Portugal. But and
mm,
they need to find a solution. Either it's him asking him to be a little bit more disciplined with the ball and protecting the
hmm
ball, because the moments they do have the ball, they need to do something with it. And
With
unfortunately, every
it.
time he tries to do something with it, it's just not panning off.
Yeah, and speaking of that Portugal team, they are playing the world champions tonight. And obviously, the only way Portugal can progress is that they avoid defeat by more than 2 goals tonight. Who do you actually see going through from this group of death? Because Germany will also have a tough encounter with regards to Hungary as well, making sure that they too go through to the round of 16. Looking at the group of death, France is already through. Who else is joining them?
Personally, I think that Germany get the result against Hungary, and I don't know. I don't know if there's going to be some sort of reshuffling in terms of what France decide to go and do tomorrow against
Hmm
Portugal. But momentum is also a 12th man, and I feel that they would hate to lose a game.
Yeah.
That close to getting into the round of 16. So unfortunately, I do see Portugal actually not making it, but
Bold.
I am the same man that has seen Cristiano Ronaldo go to Atletico Madrid with a 3-0 deficit and seen him bang a hat trick
Get
and
a
then go
hat
and win
trick.
again. So
Uh-huh.
what I know, you never ever doubt the biggest players on the stage. But what I will say is that I just don't think that. I think France need to go and play like the world champions that they are.
That
And
they
if they
are.
play like the world
Mm.
champions they are, then they need to and they are expected to actually run through this whole pack. I don't know. I don't care who you're putting in front of France. The fact that their first team and second team has an ability to go and win the whole
Win
Euro,
any game. Yeah.
any game. And I'm saying first and second team because in every position they
They have.
definitely have a star. They have more than 2 stars in that position. So yeah, for me,
Yeah.
it's fun to lose, but we also know tournaments like this, the favorite, other than obviously the World Cup, 2016,
hmm
the favorite did not win
Yeah.
the Euro, or 2018, the favorite did not win. So we don't know what's going to happen, but I see Germany and I see France.
And France advancing. Whew,
Yeah.
crazy. But also, the round of 16 will start this Saturday, the 26th of June. We have Wales and Denmark will be facing each other, Italy and Austria, and now Croatia finally know their opponents in Spain, who have just beaten Slovakia 5-0. It's going to be some enticing fixtures to come because Croatia and Spain, that's a game I know I'm looking forward to, as well as Wales and Denmark. Denmark, man, they have had such a tough time, and we are so happy that Christian Eriksen seems to be doing a little bit better. Yes, he'll be playing with a heart monitor if he even decides to come back to football, because it doesn't look like, or the doctors rather are rather saying that he should maybe just take a little bit of a break. But we all know footballers, man, he's only 29 and he's gonna want to make a comeback. I want us to move
Yeah.
on to the Copa America that is currently happening right now. So many things to talk about. I mean, top goal scorers in that regard include the likes of Neymar, include the likes of Angel Romero, as well as Eduardo Vargas of Chile. But we also know that the Argentines seem to be pushing forward a little bit. Have you been watching the Copa America? Have you caught a
I
little
have
bit of the
not.
games?
There is far too much football to be watched right now for me to go and be veering to go and watch sport that's outside of my DSTV package. But but Neymar is doing what Neymar does. I'm a bit.
Mm,
I'm not saying I'm surprised, but
yeah.
Alexis Sanchez normally turns it on for internationals, and it's just surprising to me that like Vargas it's been
What?
the one name come out of
I was
that Chile
shocked.
list. Yeah. So yeah, it almost seems to me like the stars of old. And I'm not saying it's stars of old like they're old now.
Mm,
I mean, Alexis Sanchez is 29 years old, but there is essentially it seems like a small little dethroning that's happening right
yeah.
now. You know? Even in terms of the Euros right now, we've got our Lukaku's over there. Obviously
Hmm.
Ronaldo's going to be there, but essentially there are players coming into the fold right now. And even if you go back to the Copa America, the Romeros of the world, there are players coming into the
Hmm.
fold right now that we know are great for their clubs, but they seem to
But
elevate their game as well
international.
as the internationals. Yeah. So
Yeah, that is true.
I need to think. I need to think. I need to go and see what my Copa America is saying. But if you're saying it's as hot as what you're saying, is then maybe I need to buy two more
Mm.
TVs and go and set it up like I'm a Andy Townsend in my lounge.
And as you can see across the board, there are a couple of games: Brazil and Colombia, Bolivia and Uruguay, as well as Chile and Paraguay. Some of the games that are still coming up.
Have you been
Neymar has
watching
just
these
scored his
games?
68th goal, huh?
Have you been watching these games? Because maybe now we should swap roles and let me ask you: have you been watching these Copa America fixtures?
I mean, I've watched a few, and honestly, there's been a little bit of disappointment because we all know with Argentina, Messi's always kind of disappointed, but also he's getting the likes of Paulo Dybala, who's actually playing really well. I mean, he's coming into the
Uh-huh.
fold now and coming into his own. So he's doing rather well with regards to that. And just kind of like you said, there are shining stars that I did not see coming with
Mm.
regards to the Copa America. But we get to see some of these players still going and still coming. We're yet to see Brazil and Argentina, maybe even final, because everybody's thinking that's going to happen.
100%. And who have you been kind of been the most impressed with in terms of these matchups that we've found ourselves, so shall I say, waiting and salivating for? I mean, we obviously know, the potential
Yeah.
final we want to have. Yes, the Neymar and like, the baby brother versus the younger brother in
Mm.
Messi and Neymar. But who have you been
Mhm.
impressed with outside of those two?
I mean, looking at the likes of Brazil, Richarlison is starting to make a really good name for himself in Brazil. Yes, he's only got one goal, but he's coming to the fold, and that interplay between him and Neymar, that pace that they both have, it seems to be working really well for them. Because I mean, he ended up setting up Neymar for a penalty in the first game of the tournament. And also do remember that every single time that Brazil have ever hosted this Copa America, they went on to win it. And looking at how Neymar is in fine style right now, scoring his 68th goal for Brazil, he's now only 9 short of matching Pele's record for the country. So we're looking forward to some amazing. I'm not saying he's going to score all 9 now, but he seems to be edging closer and closer to being a Brazil legend in a sense, because everybody seems to think that you need to have won so many things to be a legend of your team. We're talking about Lionel Messi, who's also yet to announce where he's going next season. There's only a couple of days left in June for him to tell us where he's going, because he hasn't made an announcement whether he's extended his contract with Barcelona either. So there's so many things and so many players' contracts that are up in the air, and Copa America seems to be, bringing it down a little bit in regards to that. And look at some of the transfers that have been going on. Memphis Depay has finally joined his childhood dream in Barcelona. How do you see him playing in that team?
Do you know what? For me, I feel that the problem with Barcelona is that sometimes shall I say, their front office, I just feel like they're a little bit confused at times, because I'm so sorry. I love Memphis, how direct he is as a footballer, his skills, his ability to go and hit the ball from all types of ranges. But that's not Barcelona. That's not the Barcelona way.
That's not Barca style at all. At all.
And he is not a Barcelona player. But the current coach there, in terms of Ronald Koeman, was the Netherlands manager. So you can see where the history is coming from. But I don't know. For me, it's a bit of like a domino effect, a juxtaposition, so we say, in a sense that, are you giving me Memphis Depay and giving me Aguero in the same transfer window because you feel like you're losing something up front?
But I thought the exact same. Because especially now also, we're in the 23rd day of June. There's only 7 days left of the month. And there's nothing being said about Messi's new contract.
No, look, it's also like we're talking wages. We're talking massive wages now. We've got Ousmane Dembele. We've got
who's now injured again.
We've got Sergio Aguero. We've got Antoine Griezmann. Genuinely, these are big players. And these are players that are not going to be happy, essentially, sitting on the bench. And to go and bring in Memphis Depay now on top of that as well, we're looking at 5 guys to go and fill 2 positions because one of them should be a given. So I don't know. I don't know what's going on in Barcelona. What I can say, though, it creates panic and havoc, and I love panic and havoc.
You like mess.
I love that. Because last time there was panic and havoc at Real Madrid, someone swooped in and got Mesut Ozil. So that means that someone's gonna swoop in and get someone's gonna walk away with someone special out of that Barcelona team. And teams just better be ready, because they will be panic buys. Because FFP is also a thing. Barcelona did not win a damn thing last season. Did they win the Copa del Rey by the chance?
They won Copa. They always win Copa.
Okay, yeah. They won their Community Shield. Okay, so there will be a panic buy, because NFP is also a thing. They know there weren't any supporters in the stadiums, so revenue was down. So you cannot come to me and go and tell me, purely because of investment now, that the books are going to be balanced. Someone is going to be sold for a significant amount of money. That man is not Lionel Messi, because that man's on the contract.
That man is a free agent in a week.
So big money has to come out of Barcelona. Someone will be walking away with left foot, right foot. Ousmane Dembele is the man who, So I'm going to be very glued to Sky News and Fabrizio's Twitter, because I think that this is going to be hot. Where Lionel Messi is going, speculation. Not
we all don't know.
Because you want to quote me when I get it wrong. No ways.
And it will be right here on the touchline. And speaking of some of the other rumors, just quickly, Manchester City have already made 100 million rand bid for Harry Kane, as well as now news coming out of Sky Sports News, or BBC Sport rather, Manchester United have just upped their offer for Jadon Sancho. Whether they'll finally get their man, I mean, they've been chasing him for 3 seasons now. That is up to them, and we'll get to see all of those headlines, like you said, in the news. And just to catch up a little bit on local football, tomorrow was meant to be the playoffs for Chipa United, Richards Bay, and Royal AM. We all know what is happening there. The appeal has finally been put in place, and the playoffs are being halted for the moment. So we don't know whether Skukune or Royal will actually be playing in the PSL next season. That woman right there has made her point of view known and heard. She is not backing down. Royal is fighting for their spot in the PSL. And then now moving into the CAF Confederations, last week Kaizer Chiefs got their much needed victory at Wydad Casablanca, walking away with that 1-0 victory, as well as Al Ahly and ES Tunis. Al Ahly getting that victory as well. The second legs of these games will be played this coming weekend. Casablanca coming to Gauteng, coming to get that all-important victory on their part to make sure that they get to the final. But Kaizer Chiefs as well will be looking to get to their first ever CAF final, to get their first ever star. And if they do, I think most people would love to see Kaizer Chiefs taking on Pitso Musimane's Al Ahly, because apparently Kaizer Chiefs have never lost to Pitso Musimane. So we look forward to those CAF confederations or CAF fixtures coming up this weekend. But Vince, just before we wrap up the show, Euros are coming up. I mean, well, the next round of fixtures just now in about 15-20 minutes time. You have already made a bold statement in saying that France and Germany will be going through. Do you look forward to an upset from Portugal? I mean, that too is a possibility.
Personally, I would love an upset. We know France are through already, but there will be nothing more exhilarating than Hungary pulling a fast one and Portugal Portugal bringing their goat to the party. So I would look, best for me, based on the teams that I support, best case scenario, I personally believe in shall I say cycles in terms of football in terms wise. So I believe that Germany, die Mannschaft had their period. That 2012, 2014, just after it was Spain dominated world football between 2000 and 2012. They were magnificent. With the likes of Özil, with Muller coming into the fold after the 2010 World Cup and their success over there, I thought Germany had their phase. We then went into the France phase. We're talking world football. Went into the French phase. And man, I would just like to go and see whether, did Portugal win it by luck, 2 years ago?
I think they drew all their games. Like, I've never heard of something ridiculous such as that. I mean, we're shocked that the likes of England have topped the group with just 2 goals. So Euros are showing us that anything can happen.
Anything can happen. What I will tell you though is that England are not making the quarterfinals.
And that is how we end off the touchline tonight. Vince __92. Thank you so much for joining me here on the touchline tonight. And
always a pleasure chatting football, everything else with you. It's always a pleasure to be here.
All right. And for the rest of the Touchline family, please do follow us on all social media. That is on Twitter, Touchline SA, as well as Instagram, Touchline SA. Like I said, coming up tonight, we have Portugal who take on France, as well as Hungary and Germany. That game kicks off at 9 p.m. And then from Saturday onwards, it is the quarterfinals. My name is Lady Poko. I look forward to another Euro chat with you soon. From the Touchline family, we're out.
Peace.